Hey guys, it's Tori, and today I'm going to be doing the Friends book tag. Now, I was originally tagged by Emily over at Novel Novels, who also was the original creator of this tag, so I will link her video down below. So the idea behind this tag is Emily took the letters that spell out the word friends and then created prompts based on those. I have not looked over these questions like pre-planned, so not sure what my answers will be, but we're going to just go with it. So beginning with F, the prompt for this one is to name a book with a strong friendship in it, and I have to go with The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Specifically, I love the friendship between the hobbits. They just have such a strong bond, and I just love it so much. They're just so cute. They're just so cute, and I really like the friendship between Legolas and Gimli as well, but the hobbits just love them so much, and it's just so fun to revisit those books, specifically because of those strong friendships. Next is R, Real Life, a nonfiction book that you want to read. So I believe Emily chose The Brontes by Juliet Barker, and that's one that I do really want to read, but since she named that one, I'm going to choose The Five, The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Hallie Rubenhold. Sorry, reading it off my screen to make sure I got the full title correct and the author's name. I really want to pick this up. I've heard great things about it. As the title suggests, it's about the women murdered by Jack the Ripper, and I just think it sounds wonderful and would really love to get to that soon. The next prompt is indie author, name a book by an indie author that you love. First of all, I'm going to name two different authors for this. Well, one's a specific author and one is just a specific book, but the first one I want to mention is Ashtyn Newbold. Ashtyn is actually a really good friend of mine, a childhood friend, and she self-publishes historical romance, so Regency romance specifically, and I really like her work a lot. I'm not big into the romance genre, but I have been able to pick up some of hers, and I actually edited for her for a while, and it was just fabulous. She does a great job. If you're really into Regency romances and you prefer like a cleaner Regency romance, something with a little bit less sex in it, if that's something you prefer, then definitely check her out. And she's also friends with a lot of other authors that write similar things. She'll actually work with them on different projects, on companion series and things. So I definitely suggest looking into her if you're interested in that, because she's likely to lead you down a rabbit hole of sorts into multiple authors that write that sort of thing if you're interested. And then the other one that I've read a few years ago actually and really enjoyed was Against Her Will by, oh gosh, I forgot the author's name. Okay, it's by Serita Stevens and Joe Schaffer. This is a story following a teenage girl who's very rebellious, and her parents are just not very understanding. They're not willing to listen to her, and she continues to rebel, just feeling very misunderstood by her parents, and she ends up in this mental institution for rebellious teens, essentially, and makes some friends there with a variety of different mental illnesses and struggles. And it's really just about their treatment in there, some of the things they're able to learn, and how she's able to grow as a person through this experience, while also recognizing that there are friends she makes in this institution that don't get better and still struggle, and that she has her own struggles still. Even if she is overcoming her past struggles, she still has a lot to deal with, and it's just a very good look at that sort of thing. I believe Serita Stevens, I'm not completely sure, one of them, but I think it's Serita Stevens, is actually a psychologist, so she did a lot of the research for this book. And then the other author, which I believe was Joe Schaffer, but I could have them swapped, mostly wrote the story and the plot and everything. So very interesting to read, and one that I definitely would love to see more people read, especially if you're interested in mental illness, because I don't know, I really liked the way it was approached in it, and it's one I would highly recommend to a lot of people. In fact, I should reread this sometime soon because it's been a while since I picked it up. Next is E for endings. Name a book whose ending made you scream. And for this one, I'm going to go with The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. I just really loved the ending, and the reason why, I mean, I didn't literally scream, but the reason why I loved it so much was because it just added such a wonderful layer to the rest of the story. I felt like the whole story felt very soap opera-y. There was a lot going on with romantic relationships in particular, and the ending of the story really just brought it all together in such a nice way that turned the direction of the story in a way that made me love it all the more. Like, I think if it had ended any other way, I would not have loved it quite as much as I did, because it just worked so well for me, and I really appreciated the message it ended up putting across because of the ending. So that's one that I really, really loved the ending, and I'm one that endings really have a huge impact on my enjoyment of a story. I may, like, if I like the whole story all the way through and I don't like the ending, I'm going to like that book less than if I don't necessarily love a book the whole way through, but I like it enough, obviously, to keep going at not DNF, and then the ending really adds an amazing aspect to the story. I'm more likely to like it more. That doesn't mean I'll give it 5 stars, since I was bored the rest of the time, but it will bring my rating up if the ending is satisfying to me or really adds something to the story that I appreciate. So anyway, that's my answer for that. Next is N. Name a book that is new that you're excited to get your hands on. I have had my eyes on this book for a while, and I think I'm going to ask for it for Christmas from my lovely parents, because I don't know if I necessarily want to spend the full price on this, but I also really want to get it soon. But that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Russell, I believe. The covers here if I got the author's name wrong, but I really, really want to read this. I think it's going to be very uncomfortable and hard to read. It's about a young woman who, when she was younger, she had this relationship with her teacher, and they split apart and things were good, but she still keeps in contact with him. However, there's recently been a girl who's come forward saying that she was sexually assaulted by this teacher, and she's asking this main character to help support her claim. And this main character, though what she suffered was abuse, she isn't willing to admit it, she's not willing to accept it, and she really struggles to come to terms with the idea that it was abuse and accept that it wasn't as romantic as it seemed. And I've heard that it's very heavy, that it's very hard to read, but that the subject matter is handled very well, and I really, really want to get to it. This is a subject matter that I'm very passionate about. I'm studying psychology, and I would love to work with abuse victims like this, and every chance I get to learn more about this and get in the minds of people who have experienced such things is really beneficial to me in the career I want to pursue, despite how hard it is to learn about this stuff, because it is very heavy. But it's one I really want to get my hands on. Technically, it came out at the beginning of the year, so it's almost been a year. So is it super new? I don't know, but it will be new to me, and it's still a recent release as of 2020, so I'm just gonna count it. And for D, the word is dark. What is a book that has dark themes? And I'm going to go with Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. This is such a tragic story following children who experienced the crimes of Georgia Tann. If you don't know, Georgia Tann was a woman who lived somewhere in the south part of America, and she ran a adoption agency. However, there was a very dark underbelly to this agency, as many children were kidnapped and then sold. There was a lot of manipulation and blackmailing for parents to pay more and more money to her. There was a lot of malnutrition and abuse going on for the children in this foster care system, and it was just horrible, horrible, horrible. And this book follows girls who experienced this, as well as people in more recent times who are just discovering covering this whole experience and their family's connection to it. So it's very, very good, but it's so dark and hard to read, and it's definitely one that if you're going to be triggered by anything related to suicide, depression, anxiety, abuse, anything like that, definitely don't pick it up. But I feel like it handled those things very well. It wasn't just using them to, you know, shock or anything. It was really trying to show this is something that happened and more people need to be aware of it. And I agree, because it's a part of history I had never learned of, never heard of before. And the hardest part of it is that Georgia Tan died before she could be brought to justice. So these people didn't even get the justice they likely would have sought. And many of these children never found their families again, their original families again, despite searching and everything. They never found siblings again, they never found their biological parents, and it's just really tragic, but a great book if you're willing to give it a try. And the last prompt is S, share the love, tag people, and I don't know who I'm gonna tag, so give me a second. Okay, first of all, I'm going to tag Margaret Pinard. I've recently connected with her and she's fabulous. Sorry, Margaret, if I mispronounced your name, but there's that. Connor from Connor Stompanato, fabulous booktuber, absolutely love him. Jackie from Jackie Reads and Writes, another great booktuber. And let's see if I can get one more at least. Let's have my last one be Roz from Scallydandling about the books. I believe that's her channel name. Anyway, if you've already been tagged, I apologize, but you four are going to be tagged for this, and I will link those 4 channels down below as well in case you're curious about them. All wonderful, definitely would recommend each of their channels. And yeah, so that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below your thoughts on any of these questions, as I would love to know, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!